Good morning, everyone. I'm Sylvia Arenas, your chair for today for the Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee. You're gonna have to tolerate my voice as I'm recuperating from a cold, and I sound like I'm going through puberty, so please be patient with me. All right, so today is March 13th. We're going to get started with this meeting by calling it to order and establishing a quorum so if we can start by taking roll.
Good morning, Vice Chairperson Simidian.
Here.
Chairperson Arenas,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we're going to go into item number 2. This is public comment. If there's anyone who wants to share anything that's not on today's agenda, if you're in person, you'd like to share public comment, please submit a yellow card. And because today we are currently hybrid, for those who are viewing us online, if you're able to raise your hand to share public comment, and we'll start with in-person public comment. Do we have anybody, Peggy?
One moment. We do have a speaker card, but I'm not sure she is present yet. Is Christy Camilla present? We do have one speaker this morning. in the
Wonderful. So then
chambers.
we'll start with in-person and then we'll go online.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christy Camilla, and I am chair of the
Excuse the interruption, ma'am. Through the chair, if I may. I believe the clerk will tell us that if you go to the podium, there is a built-in microphone that is largely invisible, but will then capture and convey your voice to us so we can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. I'm Dr. Christy Camilla. I am chair of the Animal Advisory Commission, and I want to thank you for putting item number 10 on the agenda. And I am here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have no virtual speakers this morning.
We have no
Virtual speakers,
virtual speakers.
correct.
Okay, sorry. Wonderful. So we are moving right along onto approving the consent calendar. And currently on the consent calendar, we have items 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I'm wondering if my vice chair, if you have any changes to the consent calendar.
I am happy to move approval of the consent calendar contained in our published agenda with the exception, I believe, and I'm going to look to the clerk to confirm, with the exception of the minutes for the February 16th meeting, which I believe are still under review.
Yes, the clerk has a request to revise the February 16, 2023 Hewlett minutes. It's item 11A on today's agenda. It's item 5 on the minutes to be revised to read, Vice Chairperson Simidian requested that administration report to the Board of Supervisors as part of the May 2023 budget workshops relating to recommendations on leveraging funding sources to support housing for extremely low-income and very low-income persons with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you to the clerk as well. And I think the short, simple way for me to say this is move the consent calendar as contained in our published agenda, except for item 11A.
Great, thank you, and I'll second that.
Vice Chairperson Simidian,
Aye.
Supervisor Arenas,
Aye.
motion passes.
Wonderful. So we have 4 items on the regular agenda, so which is what we're moving towards now. And the first item is item number 4. This is an introduction to the 2023 to 2031 housing element update, and I'll turn it over to our planning department, who looks like they are good and ready.
Thank you. My name is Lisa McKyle, Deputy Director for the Department of Planning and Development, standing in for our Director, Jacqueline Anciano. Today we have Principal Planner Michael Meehan and our County Counsel Jamelia Bencado here to present an update on our housing element, excuse me, and to explain where we are today, where we've been, and where we believe we'll be successfully going. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Meehan.
Good morning. Michael Meehan, Principal Planner with the department. Staff has a brief presentation on this item, introducing the committee to the county's housing element update for what's referred to as the sixth cycle, which encompasses the 2023 to 2031 planning period. So first, we'll cover the housing element update process. Next, we will review challenges and opportunities resulting from changes since the last housing element update cycle. And then we will go over the next steps leading to board adoption and certification by the Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD. The housing element update process consists first of a regional housing needs determination, by which HCD assigns projected housing needs to each region within the state. Then the Regional Council of Governments, which in our case is ABAG, the Association of Bay Area Governments, distributes shares of the regional housing need across each of its member jurisdictions through what's known as the RHNA process, or the Regional Housing Needs Allocation. Each jurisdiction then updates its housing element, including a demonstration of how it will meet its RHNA assignment. For this sixth cycle, the regional goal increased significantly by 135% from the fifth cycle. The unincorporated county goal, however, saw an increase of 1,028%, from 277 total housing units last cycle to 3,125 units for this cycle. This dramatic increase is the result of a change in the RHNA methodology adopted by ABAG for the sixth cycle. The methodology selected by ABAG prioritized high opportunity areas and job proximity, and importantly, gave counties the responsibility for accommodating housing need in urban unincorporated islands slated for city annexation. The county must now accommodate these units while also continuing to meet the foundational land use policies and general plan goals of avoiding sprawl and incentivizing urban infill development. Several recent state legislative changes have created new challenges for most jurisdictions during the housing element update cycle, and the dramatic increase in RHNA assignment to the county compounded the statewide challenges. Initially, the county worked to appeal the methodology with ABAG. However, ABAG denied the county's appeal and all such appeals based on the new methodology. ABAG instead encouraged the county to work with the city of San Jose to perform a RHNA transfer, since the county's increased RHNA correlated to ABAG's analysis of urban unincorporated islands that are planned for annexation by the city. Next, the county worked with the city to effectuate such a transfer, but negotiations were paused in early 2022 while the county and city resolved a dispute relating to the North San Jose development policies. This dispute was resolved in December 2022, which left a very short window to effectuate an agreement because of a statutory requirement that such transfers be executed no later than January 31st. On January 10th, our board approved a delegation of authority for the purposes of negotiating and executing this transfer. And on January 19th, at the county's request, the ABAG Executive Board granted conditional approval for such transfer between the county and city. However, the county and city were unable to arrive at an agreement on the terms for the transfer before January 31st. And finally, given the responsibility of now planning for 3,125 units, staff has had to contend with the complexities of selecting and analyzing appropriate sites for higher density urban housing development on unincorporated lands. As a result of these changes, the county missed the initial housing element update deadline of January 31st, which, it should be noted, was also missed by 106 out of 110 jurisdictions in the Bay Area. However, the delay did create an opportunity for the county, stemming from actions taken by the San Jose City Council in December to amend one of its policies regarding transportation analysis for development applications. This change at the city level has enabled the county to include the site of the decommissioned Pleasant Hills Golf Course in the county's housing element site inventory. Although the site is expected to be annexed into the city prior to development, it is currently unincorporated and therefore appropriate to include in the county's site inventory. With the inclusion of this site, the county's inventory will conservatively accommodate 110% more housing than required to meet our RHNA assignment across all levels of affordability. Furthermore, the county will overcome two major concerns. First, by not selecting any rural sites previously identified for possible rezoning and development, and second, by avoiding reliance upon Stanford housing production to meet the county's designated housing goals. For our next steps, we're on track to publish the draft housing element update next week on March 21st, after which we will undertake a 30-day public review period, followed by 10 or more days to incorporate public feedback before sending it to HCD for review. In addition to coming to Hewlett today, staff will be bringing a similar presentation to the Planning Commission and the San Martin Planning Advisory Committee, as well as the full board on April 18th. HCD will review for up to 90 days, providing feedback to the county by the end of July. After responding to HCD feedback, the department anticipates bringing the final draft to the board on October 17th of this year. Before coming back to the board for approval and during HCD's 90-day review period, the department will be bringing the housing element update document once again to the Planning Commission, SIMPAC, and to Hewlett to provide recommendation on adoption. Once adopted by the board, HCD will have another 60-day period to certify that the adopted housing element is in substantial compliance with state law, which we would anticipate occurring before the end of the calendar year. And so this concludes staff's presentation, and we're now available for any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Before I turn to my colleagues, I'm going to check in with Peggy and see if we have any in-person or online speakers.
We have neither.
We have,
We have neither. We have no
Neither.
in-person and
Okay.
no virtual.
got it. Thank you so much, Peggy. All right, so I'm going to move to my colleague, Vice Chair Simitian.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me ask Mr. Meehan or other members of the planning staff if we could go back to page 5, please, just for a quick question/confirmation. I notice item 2 here on the slide indicates that the newly identified housing opportunities mean that we can, quote, avoid reliance upon housing production at Stanford University to meet the county's designated housing goals. That being said, I want to confirm on the record with planning staff that it is still our expectation that housing impacts of future growth and development on the campus be fully mitigated by the university.
Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive. I do want to confirm in the preparation of our Stanford Community Plan that indeed that is our proposal to fully mitigate any housing demand resulting from development on the campus.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask the minutes specifically reflect that commitment, please. And Mr. Mann, the reason I'm raising the question is, and I would ask you to think about whether you want to continue to use this slide in this format. And I understand what you're saying, and I get it. You know, we have this other opportunity. It means we're no longer wholly reliant on these two other paths. But I worry that it could be either misunderstood or misrepresented as indicating that the housing production at the university is no longer required in order to meet our goals. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Supervisor Simitian, to respond on behalf of staff, we take your comments and we will refine our characterization. I do want you to know that there are parcels identified in housing opportunity sites, as you may know, in the Corey District and also in, I'll just call it the Escondido Village area, where in fact we do identify opportunities, possibly up to 2/3 of our goal, where housing can take place. Merely our point is that we're not dependent on that to achieve our RENA assignment. And we'll refine our presentation so that it's more nuanced. Thank you.
I'm going to say thank you, and as my colleague, Mr. Wasserman, and I used to say to one another, I'll take yes for an answer on that one. Thank you very much. The other thing I wanted to do is highlight the fact that the Stanford Community Plan, which Ms. Gallegos just referenced a moment ago, has sort of been, I'll say, the amendments to that plan have been sort of caught up in this process. The expected and anticipated completion date for that process has been significantly delayed as a result. And I just want to be clear, it is our expectation that we will get the Stanford Community Plan wrapped up before the end of this calendar year.
Supervisor submitting, that is our plan. And I'm not sure if we said this per se, but that we are bringing both the SCP and the housing element and the CEQA document, the EIR, together on October 17th. And as Mr. Meehan indicated, we are still tracking on that. I'm looking at that schedule very carefully, and staff knows that if there's any deviation from this schedule due to circumstances outside our control, that they're going to advise me, and I in turn would advise the board.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, the reason I'm highlighting and underscoring this is because our board was previously advised we'd have this Stanford Community Plan matter wrapped up before the end of the last calendar year. That's a lot of slippage, and I'm worried about getting this done on a timely basis. And we have asked folks in the community to be attentive to these issues now for 7, 8 years, which is a long time to ask people to stay engaged as they try and move about their lives. So thank you very much. I'll ask that the minutes reflect that commitment as well, please, regarding the Stanford Community Plan amendments coming back before the end of the calendar year, and that they will be part and parcel of the October 17th presentation unless we hear formally otherwise. Okay? Thank you, Madam Chair. Those were, well, I guess to be a little less specific in my inquiries, I appreciate the staff explaining the context of what the timing is all about here, and the fact that the deadline has come and gone, and we think we have a path to get to the eventual acceptable conclusion. I do think it's useful, Madam Chair, just spend a minute asking, so what are the consequences of that? I think many of us have been reading and hearing about the so-called builder's remedy. Is that an issue here in our county where we have responsibility for the unincorporated county lands? Have we had any inquiries or applications for that matter from anybody to use that tool? And perhaps a little bit about how you intend to respond or consider those requests if and when they're made.
Through the chair, I can speak briefly on the builder's remedy and other consequences, and I know County Council can also weigh in on that. We currently are subject to the builder's remedy as a consequence of missing the January 31st deadline, as well as a few other consequences. We've had a number of inquiries, general inquiries from the public, and are responding to them in kind. It's not been our understanding for the unincorporated areas that there's much interest or applicability of the builder's remedy given the statutory requirements to use that tool.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms.
Through the
Mayor.
chair, Deputy Director Lisa McKyle, one of the complexities in the county for the builder's remedy, you still have to prove that you can supply services, so water and adequate waste. So those are complexities that make it a little bit harder through the builder's remedy.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, would it be helpful if I offered a motion at this point to approve the recommended action, which is simply to receive the report?
Yes,
So moved.
and I'll second that.
Vice Chairperson Simitian?
Oh,
Aye.
no, I still have questions,
Oh.
Peggy.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I'm good with the motion, but I still wanted to make some comments. Well, I think Vice Chair Smithian asked some of the questions that I was actually concerned about, and one of them was, how are we going to make those county pockets contribute to the arena goals? You talked about a couple of the sites. Will you elaborate this and I'll have an update in terms of very specific sites?
That's correct. So on March 21st, next week, we'll be publishing the full housing element update, which will include our complete site inventory, much of which consists of those urban unincorporated pockets.
Great, thank you. Of course, you all know here that Pleasant Hills is in my district, and as a council member, I had to deal with the backlash of even considering that site for development. And the city seems to be in a position where we've changed as a council member, we changed the VMT policy. We dropped a developmental policy, developmental plan that restricted growth, and so it's really much set up for growth, right? For that potential. But I want it to be very thoughtful and the right kind of development and mixed use, of course, for our community if it gets developed. I don't want it to be the savior of the county for the arena goals. And so I really appreciate the comment that you made, Vice Chair, about making sure that we don't use this kind of language, even though we all may realize that it takes some pressure off of Stanford, but I don't know that that's necessarily something that is actually true, because Vice Chair, you've been working to make sure that all of that development impact gets mitigated, and so we want to make sure that we have one unified message about that. And so I look forward to seeing that update on October 17th, and also seeing that wrapped up as well. Yes, go ahead.
Chairperson Arenas, let me also add that, as Mr. Meehan added, the chapters are published March 21st, and we will bring those published chapters to the board on April 18th. We take and understand your concern with respect to the decommissioned Pleasant Hills Golf Course site. I will share with you that while it has a capacity and I believe a development proposal that suggests 35 units, dwelling units to the acre, in conversations with city staff, they have a view of a lower density. So we made very conservative assumptions with respect to that site.
Great, thank you. I know that, well, we'll talk about it when it gets in front of us. I think we're going to get ahead of myself, but because there's so many different ways to develop Pleasant Hills. One of the concerns from a lot of our community is that we don't continue to build out single-family homes, as they are very expensive for each of those municipalities. But we are interested also in density, right? So what's the right balance between those two things? And then we'll continue to have these conversations. I'm looking forward to actually doing that. So I'm going to change the subject just a little bit and talk about the affordable housing. We didn't talk, or this update didn't really cover how we're going to count affordable housing through our Measure A efforts that go towards our RENA goals.
Let me have Mr. Meehan first talk about the entire affordability spectrum that's built in to the 3,125 units, and then invite Ms. Hernandez to show you her work with respect to the Measure A funding to support affordable units.
Sure, through the chair. The 3,125 units that were assigned to the county through the RENA process are broken down proportionately or given portions of that to 4 different categories ranging from very low income, below moderate, and moderate, moderate and above moderate. So we have specific targets in each of those categories. Our projection and our site inventory accounts for fulfilling all of those requirements coming from the state and going above them in each case. It's important to note, however, that the allocation is specific to the unincorporated areas. And so although this cycle, the RENA goals and the methodology adopted by ABAG includes the unincorporated urban pockets, which it hasn't in the past, it still does not include incorporated areas. And so we're put in an interesting position in developing our housing element, because while we want to fully account for the units that have been assigned to us and the policies applicable to the unincorporated areas, we also want to lift up the good work that the county has done in the incorporated areas as well. And so I think with that, perhaps.
Let me just expand on Mr. Meehan's comments. The rural areas, the densities are lower. The principal tool we have to build affordable housing in the unincorporated is our inclusionary housing ordinance at 16%. But as Ms. Hernandez, I suspect, will tell you now, to get affordable housing at scale, it requires, public investment of resources. So with that, now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hernandez.
Good morning. It's working. Consuelo Hernandez, Director, Office of Supportive Housing. Chair Arenas, thank you for the question. As Deputy County Executive Sylvia Gallegos mentioned, the majority of the developments that the Office of Supportive Housing supports through the housing bond is in the incorporated areas. So in 2017, through the board, we adopted a set of goals by city based on the previous or the current planning period for RENA. So for instance, if all of the 15 incorporated cities had an ELI target, I believe it was 7,000 or so units, then we set a goal for each city so that we would proportionally fund Measure A units in those cities based on their RENA goals. So we had a goal of funding one Measure A project in every city, one in every supervisorial district, and one in every City of San Jose Council district. But unfortunately, most of those do not count towards our RENA goals.
They do not count.
They do not.
Oh gosh, that is terrible, because it takes such major effort to get one affordable housing development done. And I've seen it on the other side of this. I mean, it is a huge shame. Okay, so thank you. The other item I was going to ask about, once we get more detailed plans about the county pocket changes that would be made to our general plan, I'd like for us to bring back those changes as a report through Hewlett. And if this is something that maybe our vice chair could include in your motion, which is to request, that report to come to Hewlett before bringing the plan to the full board. Is there any issues first with that? No. Is that something you can include in your?
Happily.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I am excited about excited about our county meeting our arena goals, but it's going to be difficult, right? The next steps, we aren't so sure what they're going to look like. There's going to be a lot of negotiations. I know that the negotiations with the city of San Jose didn't pan out very well. Although I think I learned about them after the fact. I'd love to be supportive of any conversations that we have with the city of San Jose. One of the commitments I made to my colleagues that I left on the other side of at the city is to always be a good partner and to be as collaborative as we can and to keep lines of communication open. And so I want to continue to do that with, of course, keeping our land use and all of the items that are under Hewlett as something that I can help. If there's something I can help facilitate, I'm absolutely there for that. So I just want to give a friendly reminder to keep me included. All right, so we are going to do a roll call for the vote.
Before we do, Madam Chair, if I can just offer one or two more quick observations. I'm
Please.
smiling because our staff has been so incredibly gracious and professional in articulating some of these things. I want to be, I hope, equally gracious and professional, but perhaps a little bit more blunt and direct on a couple of points. The comments from Ms. Hernandez about our Measure A efforts and the RENA goals in terms of affordability in particular, I do think, for most members of the public, certainly, a lot of this is pretty technical conversation, and really they're sort of looking around saying, are we getting the affordability that we need to serve the public well? And we have to be mindful of what the state has required of us as a county entity, but the vast majority of our Measure A work is inside the incorporated communities because that's the smart growth development plan that has long been policy in our county. So I'm delighted that the 15 cities and towns are the beneficiaries of our affordable housing work as partners, and I mean that quite sincerely, but it does then pose a challenge for us that was reflected in the presentation. So I think I think to be candid, many of the affordable housing efforts that I have observed in the county over the past several years now, and certainly in my district, have been better received post RENA requirements when cities and towns realized they were desperate to get the affordable units, and that we were quite bluntly the solution to their problem. So fair enough, good. And on the I thought it was very helpful, Madam Chair, so thank you again for the conversation about sort of the concerns around Pleasant Hills and the tie to Stanford that I would be a little bit more direct about, I guess, is on the one hand and on the other hand. On the one hand, I wanted to be absolutely clear that the expectation is still there that the housing has to mitigate the impact that is created, and as Ms. Gallegos referenced, that's a policy that we expect to see embedded in our community plan amendments. Having said that, there is a benefit in avoiding that reliance that was on page 5 of the chart, and the benefit is that you can't actually make somebody go build units, and had we been forced to rely too heavily on that one location, I think you can easily anticipate that gives leverage to the university as a developer when they come and say, well, you know, you need our housing to meet your goals, and we're only going to do that if you back away from this, that, or the other requirement, which is not something I would like us to see. So I wanted to sort of be very clear and direct that I get that, and I think that my takeaway is having more than one option is always a good thing, because it means none of those various development sites can be used to leverage us to make unsound planning decisions. So with that, I am ready to go.
Well, now that you said that, I appreciate those comments, and I do think that we need to make sure that we are not painting ourselves into a corner. And it just made me think about the farm worker housing that I know we're going to talk in a different item, but the possibilities there as well for development. And now whether that gets counted to our arena goals or not, I don't know if it's part of this conversation, but I do think that it also needs to be acknowledged that we have other possibilities, and on the one hand, we're going to avoid the 30 sites that I know that there's a lot of environmentalists and stakeholders that, and ourselves, just didn't think that these were the right sites to develop it. But on the other hand, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop the hands now. This is your thing, Vice Chair. So I'm gonna leave your other hand alone. Yeah, but on the other hand, we also have to be careful about the message that we are relaying to those folks who might be invested in developing the very few sites that we do have. I mean, these are large sites. Pleasant Hills is a large site. Stanford is a large site. There's a lot of potential, and so I think we just have to make sure that we keep as much leverage as possible to be able to get what we need for our community once those developments happen. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to Peggy and have her do a roll call.
Vice Chairperson Semidian.
Aye.
And Chairperson Arenas.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. So this is unanimous. And I'm going to take one little step back. If you all will walk with me backwards. There's a couple of people on the dais that are new, and I didn't take the opportunity to introduce. And so I'm going to look to Sylvia to do that for us.
Thank you. Our planning director is absent today, and so Lisa McKyle, our deputy director, is here in her stead. And I believe at some point, Tony Arata, who's the deputy director in roads and airports, will be here representing Mr. Freitas, who is also out of the office. And as you know, per your request, we now have Consuelo Hernandez joining us on a regular basis today. And then also, I would be remiss in not pointing out that, as I understand it, Elizabeth Pianca will now be the county counsel. She's a new assistant, long-tenured, long-time partner with us in planning and development, obviously other issues. So Ms. Pianca will now be counsel to the committee.
Wonderful, and welcome, Ms. Bianca, and welcome, everybody. We look forward to getting a lot of guidance from you as we traverse through some of these new areas to meet our arena goals. All right, so I'm going to move on to item number 5, and this is the 2022 Annual Sustainability Report. Our folks representing the Office of Sustainability is ready to go, so please, welcome.
Morning, Chairperson Arenas and Vice Chairperson Smidian. I'm Jasneet Sharma, the Director for the Office of Sustainability And with me today is Tanya Veach, Senior Sustainability Analyst, to co-present on key achievements from the 2022 Sustainability Report.
Thank you, Jasneet. The scientific evidence today is unequivocal. Climate change is a threat to the human well-being and the health and existence of the planet. Based on the local climate projections from Silicon Valley 2.0, the climate change preparedness tool maintained by the county, Santa Clara County, is projected to experience by mid-century an increase of up to 13 extreme heat days and up to 55 warm nights, extremely dry periods followed by extremely wet periods with up to 30% increase in extreme storm events, increased bay and riverine flooding due to 1 to 2 feet of sea level rise, and strong winds pushing bay water further onshore, increasing frequency, duration, and extent of wildfires. We already see inequities in the county, whether it's in the amount of urban canopy we see in the different neighborhoods or the higher percentages of socially vulnerable communities that are vulnerable to climate impacts. Climate change is a stress multiplier and will amplify existing inequities in housing affordability, food insecurity, income, education, and health outcomes. Climate extremes and the impacts of climate change are already being felt here throughout the county. In 2022, we experienced a record-breaking 11-day summer heat wave with temperatures as high as 109 degrees in San Jose. Prolonged drought conditions, followed by the atmospheric river, which brought rain and wind that led to widespread flooding, downed trees, and power outages. Therefore, it is all more important to address the challenges and inequities posed by climate change holistically, which we do through the Sustainability Master Plan. I just want to remind the committee that the sustainability vision to build a livable, equitable, and resilient county is achieved through priority actions across 4 priority goals, or 4 priority areas, 8 goals, and 30 strategies. The priority areas are focused on reducing carbon emissions and building resiliency, protecting and enhancing natural resources, improving health and the well-being, and eliminating health inequities, and cultivating a prosperous and economically vibrant county. I will highlight a few key achievements from the 4 priority areas in the next few slides. Several actions in 2022 were undertaken to support the county's efforts to reduce the carbon emissions from its operations. As the 2020 greenhouse gas inventory shows, we reduced emissions 24% from 2019 due to employees teleworking during COVID-19 shelter in place and limited use of some facilities. Our facilities continue to be powered by 100% renewable energy. 31% of our fleet is now alternative fuel, which got us a ranking of 12th leading fleet in the nation. We readopted the codes to require new construction in unincorporated and county facilities to be all electric. Latest climate hazard data from SV 2.0 was used by 2 cities to include adaptation in their climate action plans. The County Climate Collaborative portal was launched, along with a resilience tool that provides step-by-step guidance to local jurisdictions for incorporating nature-based approaches into policy and physical interventions for climate resilience. And members identified priority projects to build resilience for heat and air quality, sea level rise and flooding through working groups. This year saw the continuation and expansion of the county's efforts to expand the urban forest by planting an additional 862 trees in 2022 at multiple locations throughout the counties through the county's tree planting and stewardship program for a total of 2,048 trees, and establishing a new partnership with the Office of Education to plant 1,000 trees at school campuses in high-need neighborhoods. In partnership with the San Jose Conservation Corps, 759 cubic yards of trash and 7,693 yards of vegetation and debris was collected from the Caltrain's right-of-way since April 2019. This effort is now being expanded to be a county-wide litter abatement program. connecting over 35 miles of existing trails in the countywide trails network by completing an extension of the Viral or Norton Trail in Almaden, Quicksilver County Park. The county continued to build towards a healthier community by expanding safety net services and providing opportunities for physical activity and personal enrichment. Over $2.5 million in rebates were paid to 1,358 single and multifamily homes in the county for energy efficiency and electrification upgrades to improve air quality, safety, and comfort of homes. The Department of Family and Child Services programs with expanded prevention services as well as increased family engagement resulted in 60% reduction in children coming into foster care. Santa Clara County Library District developed several virtual and in-person programs offerings. One such is the effort to the creation of 30 nature day packs in the libraries in Morgan Hill and Gilroy for public use, with supplies that enhance outdoor exploration, discovery, and try to make a connection to nature. The nature day packs have been checked out 178 times thus far. The county continued to boost the economy and promote leadership and collaboration by certifying 69 green businesses in 2022, saving 27,253 pounds of CO2, which is equivalent to planting 42 acres of urban trees. Hired a new strategic source officer within the procurement department to lead on sustainable purchasing through county procurement and contracting services. Successfully accomplished one target through the adoption of the Food System Work Plan, which is an effort, a countywide effort for Food Recovery Initiative, which is a partnership between all the jurisdictions in the county to meet requirements from state goals under SB 1383. As part of this effort, over 9 million pounds of food was recovered, which was used to provide access to nutritious food for food insecure households within the county. There are currently 58 dashboards on the Sustainability Master Plan website, and we have only shared a few data points from the Sustainability Dashboard in this presentation. The dashboards are interactive and have easy to understand visuals from baseline to progress data for targets identified in the Sustainability Master Plan. These dashboards are updated annually, and we encourage everyone to visit the website to explore the dashboard and view progress. I'm now going to hand it over to Jasneet to close out by highlighting the upcoming activities for the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Tanya. There are several new efforts that will be launched or completed over the next 2 years that will further the county's standing as a leader in sustainability and resilience. These include presenting and implementing a carbon neutrality pathway for county operations to better align with the state of California and other local jurisdictions that are accelerating efforts to reduce carbon emissions to tackle the climate crisis. As part of this, we will be undertaking or completing studies for existing county buildings and facilities electrifications, a carbon sequestration study, and recommendations to replace county diesel-fueled equipment with cleaner alternative solutions. We'll also be presenting the Community Climate Action Plan for unincorporated county to the board for adoption. The updating of policy documents such as the General Plan Safety Element and the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan with climate resilience risks and goals and strategies is currently underway, and then projects will be implemented to improve preparedness and resilience to heat waves, flooding, and impaired air quality, both at county facilities and within the community. Additional efforts across some of the other priority areas will include launching the Santa Clara County Sustainability Commission to advise on policy, programmatic, and community engagement aspects related to the county's sustainability master plan. Building out governance structure for the food system work plan to support the work plan implementation. Developing a youth climate initiative to elevate the leadership and career preparedness of youth in Santa Clara County on climate change. Completing a purchasing study to identify and prioritize different areas of commodities spending for sustainable purchasing, and then continuing to engage our county employees to be sustainability practitioners. Thank you so much for your time, and we're available to answer any questions if there are some.
Great, thank you for your presentation. I'm going to go to Peggy to see if we have members of the public who would like to speak on this item, either in person or online.
We have no speakers in chambers. We do have one remote speaker.
Wonderful.
Paul Soto. Paul Soto, I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. One of the things that was conspicuously absent from the report was, and I would label that report as incomplete, is that you attribute the vulnerabilities of communities to climate change, and that's not true. This report needs to go further than that and to center and identify accurately information that is within the context of racial equity. Use that analysis and apply it to this policy so that it more accurately depicts the histories and the reality of those people that you say that you're advocating on behalf of. Anything less than that is a practice in duplicity, in an actual aggressive contempt for
Mr. Soto, your mic is still unmuted, but we are not hearing you. And for some reason, we are not able to hear him any longer. His mic is open.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. So the policies are not accurately.
Mr. Soto, you'll need to unmute again. I think you're having some technical difficulties.
No, I'm not having them. It's something else. Anyways, the histories have not been accurately contextualized within this conversation. You're attributing a lot of issues to climate change when at their root, if properly examined using contextualized information within the racial equity offices, then you will get an accurate assessment of what it is that we're actually looking at and what it is the generation that Chicanos and Mexicanos have experienced.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm going to go to my colleague to see if there's any comments.
No comment today, Madam Chair. I'm happy to move the recommended action, which is to receive the report, say thank you to the staff.
Wonderful. I'm going to second that, but I do have comments on that. So thank you so much for this report. I was really impressed with it. I love that you included equity and some of the accomplishments that were done through social services. So it's very much very well integrated, and I really like that. District 1 has the most number of county parks, and so one of the things that I didn't see on here was an update on the bikeways, trails and parks. Is there any way that you'll be including in the sustainability master plan or including the bikeways in the upcoming countywide trails master plan update? Either one.
Let me step in a moment. Deputy County Executive Sylvia Gallegos. The presentation highlighted some of the strategies that we thought were of the greatest interest to the committee. There are absolutely, parks is integrated in the Sustainability Master Plan, and I'll turn to Mr. Roach in a moment, but I'm very excited because I've been pressing the department for a long time about refilling the Trails Program Manager, because not only do we, not just, the the trails in our regional parks, but really trying to create, I call it the emerald web of trails that allow us to connect people without being on the streets.
Yes.
Children,
Yes.
pathways to school, workers, pathway to work, that take people off the roads and
Yes.
promote exercise and well-being. And with that, let me turn it over to Mr. Rocha.
Thank you, and thank you for your comment. Don Rocha, Director of Parks and Recreation. We are integrated very well with Office of Sustainability and especially the county trails or the countywide trails master plan. We are updating the master plan map so we can reach out to your office and talk to you about that update. We have, in this report, there is a short connection that was completed, but a lot of times with these short gaps, they connect into a larger area. So in this report, comment about the Verl Norton Trail, which is a regional trail, but then it connected to 35 miles of regional trail that already existed. So it's a small 1,100 foot gap, but that gap created this great connection. So we are moving forward with a lot of the master plan as Deputy County Executive Sylvia Gallegos mentioned. We have, with our new manager, we've been reconnecting with a lot of the cities, especially with our map update, so that we can expedite and move forward with a lot of the countywide trails developments. And a lot of those fall within the cities and city jurisdictions and just city responsibilities. So connecting with those cities and then working with those departments is important for us to be able to make those connections.
I love that. I'm going to tell you a secret. PRNS was my favorite. Parks and Rec was my favorite department over at the city. They're just so forward-facing to our community in a way that just it speaks to our everyday lives, right? Our parks, our library, our community centers, just our recreation. And so I hope to partner up with you to continue to highlight and bring the support that you need to make sure that our community receives what they also need in their respective backyards. One of the things that I think District 1 has is just a lot of recreation, a lot of beauty. But it's like the best kept secret. And I don't want it to be a secret. I mean, I think I told you guys a secret here, but I don't want it. It's never been a secret. They know PRNS is my favorite. And so I don't want District 1 to be a secret either. There's so much to explore in South County. Aside from a lot of the trails and county parks, there's wineries, and people probably haven't even heard. They go to Napa or they go to Livermore, they go to other places for those kinds of recreation hotspots. And I really would love to elevate South County. And so I know this is the sustainability report, but in that I'm glad we're taking this opportunity just to give a little highlight about how important our parks are. And obviously, you both know this in your department. So thank you so much for that feedback, and then I'll connect with you offline. The other item that I wanted to say about is the unleaded fuel policy that the board approved I think it was last year, and how that was integrated into this sustainability plan.
It's been integrated only in the sense that we've reported out on it that the policy was adopted, but I think as the initiative moves forward, and I'll look to Sylvia to respond to that, we will certainly be, one way in which we approach the Sustainability Master Plan is as new initiatives get added, we develop strategies and targets around it, and then we start tracking that as part of our reporting. So that's something that we will definitely be working with the Roads and Airport Department as well as that initiative moves forward.
Okay, well, it has moved forward. The airports have adopted unleaded fuel. And in your carbon neutrality segment that you reported on, you talked about the diesel-free efforts that you will be making. And so I'm hoping that you track this just as much as you would track a diesel free, as you know that this is environmental justice, if you will, for those neighborhoods that live close and southwind of the airport. So anyways, I just wanted to make sure that that was in there. Wonderful. So I see you nodding your head. You're in agreement. So I won't include that in the motion, but I will make that a request. And I think we have a motion. So let's call. Roll.
Vice Chairperson Simidian.
Aye.
And Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. All righty. So we're just moving along. This is now item number 6. This is the report back on agricultural employee housing. And I'll turn it over to the Department of Planning and Development.
Before Mr. Meehan speaks, Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive, I wanted to introduce other staff that we brought here to support a robust conversation on this subject. So we have in the audience Joe DeVinny, who's our Agriculture Commissioner. And we also have from Environmental Health our relatively new director, Marilyn Underwood, in the audience. And also Darius Hagigi, who's a environmental health program manager and a subject matter expert. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Meehan, who will lead the presentation, and all of us are available to respond to questions and comments.
Thank you.
Hello again. Michael Meehan, Principal Planner with the department. So staff has another brief presentation today for this item, reporting back to the committee on the topic of streamlining ag housing in the county. By way of background, in October 2020, the board approved zoning ordinance amendments expanding the types of ag employee housing allowed and streamlined the planning process for such housing. At the request of Supervisor Simidian and then President Chavez, the board directed the department to report back to Hewlett in 2 years on implementation of the approved amendments. Staff reported back to Hewlett in October 2022, and then Chair Wasserman directed staff to bring this item to Hewlett again with an emphasis on further opportunities, which brings us before you today. State 1 Ag Housing Project, consisting of 3 single-family units, has successfully used the streamlining provisions and brought that project to completion.
Could you get closer to the mic and see if it makes a difference?
Is this better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So in assessing the landscape for new development of ag housing more broadly, opportunities fall generally into one of 2 categories: low-density rural development or higher-density development within an urban service area, which is the general area with the necessary infrastructure to provide municipal services, namely sewer and water service. The exhibit shown here illustrates the former parcels, the low-density rural development in blue and the higher-density development potential in red. Rural development falls under the county's land use authority, and as a result of the 2020 ordinance amendments, several different forms of ag housing are now allowed on all rural zoned unincorporated parcels. Using a rough approximation of which parcels are currently vacant, we see here in blue approximately 900 parcels. Urban service area development generally falls under the land use authority of the cities, and highlighted in red here are those parcels that are vacant within an urban service area and within 2 miles of ag-zoned land. Without any specific determination being made about zoning or otherwise the feasibility of these sites, we can see that this assessment amounts generally to 735 parcels. We highlight these 2 categories of ag housing and their potential locations within the county to assist in illustrating the different opportunities for new ag housing development. Given the boundaries of the county's land use authority, opportunities to further streamline the permitting process will generally facilitate the development of lower density ag housing in the rural areas, whereas potential city-county partnerships and the county's Office of Supportive Housing may be able to facilitate higher density ag housing within the urban service areas. Although rural ag housing is better suited to streamlining since it is within the county's jurisdictional purview, these sites require costly on-site infrastructure for providing water, drinking water, and treating wastewater in the absence of urban services. And although urban ag housing benefits from such urban services, permitting authority lies with the respective city and not the county, which makes the type of ag housing suited to development partnerships with the county rather than regulatory streamlining.
Through the chair, excuse the interruption. I just, we had, Madam Chair, just because there's some history on this, we had some lively back and forth between the committee and the staff on this over the course of the last few years. The costly on-site infrastructure required under rural ag housing, I just want to be clear with staff, that's costly on-site infrastructure required because we require it, yes?
Through the chair, it's, I think, required under our regulations, which are a combination of county, state, and regional regulations.
Because we have not yet resolved, after more than 2 years of conversation, the on-site wastewater treatment system challenges that are part of the costly on-site infrastructure required. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, we have representatives of environmental health. What I would say is that, and maybe expand upon the statement about costly, the statement was in the context of municipalities where they already have existing clean water and sewer, and the relative cost of adding a unit to those systems is relatively modest. Our only point is that if you build ag housing that's lower in density, sort of that cost you bear for building that infrastructure obviously is higher on a per unit basis, and that you know, from our perspective, farm workers and everybody deserves clean water and safe housing, and these are requirements, yes. We have environmental health here to expand on. I know that there was a discussion previously about temporary housing and the need for on-site wastewater systems.
Excuse the interruption, but Madam Chair, I gave up on this one already. The staff has clearly indicated that they're not going to pursue solutions along the lines that we discussed at the committee. I gave up. Supervisor Wasserman asked for another report back in 6 months. I did not object, but I wasn't frankly very optimistic that we were going to hear anything that we hadn't heard before. So I'm in the same place I was, which is I'm disappointed in the staff's inability or unwillingness to try and be a little more creative on this. I think it's a missed opportunity, but frankly, I'm prepared to let it go because I don't think we're going to see any progress in this area from our organization. So I don't, you know, I don't want to be covering the same ground. I don't want to be relitigating the same issues, but I just want to sort of call it out for what it is, which is we're in the same place we were a couple of years ago. And I certainly take the point that we want to make sure that any housing we provide is safe and sanitary and suitable, but this is one of those areas where the cliche is appropriate. We are letting the perfect be the enemy of the good, and I'm just sort of going to call it what it is and sit back and say I think it's a disappointment. Thank you.
Well, Vice Chair, since we are stepping out of this presentation to make comments, I really hope that you don't, as I'm really grateful for the referral in and for work for pressing on. Now I know that there's regulations or requirements both from LAFCO and from State Water Resources Board that make it really difficult for water and sewage. I'd still, I'm 2 months in, three months in, so I'm absolutely hopeful. Not naive in thinking that any changes through the different agencies that make some of this work more difficult is going to be an easy task at all. But I'd like to, with your support, Vice Chair, to continue to explore this, as I still think that there's something to press on about. And I've also talked to, and I'm willing to reach out to other folks to make sure that we are doing our own very thorough job of what these requirements are, and making sure that that we get either creative, or we push for legislative changes, as I don't think that we should preserve land for agriculture and have substandard housing, which I know exists in the day, in this very moment, and be okay with it. I'm absolutely not okay with it, and I hope that you can muscle through this one, and really support myself in maybe taking on the challenge. As you know the history, and I want to make sure that we don't review the same things over again, and we don't go down that road. I am ready for a motion. I have a motion all spelled out, Vice Chair. And one of the things that I'm asking for is actually part of what you're talking about right now. Let me first ask staff, how long is your presentation? How many more slides do you have?
We have one more slide.
Great. So if you could please finalize your presentation, and we'll go ahead and continue on with the conversation.
Certainly. In the legislative file, staff's report concludes with a discussion of ongoing challenges and next steps for permitting ag housing, namely to explore opportunities for efficiency measures during not only the planning review process, as determined by the zoning ordinance, which was amended, but the full permitting review process. The department has begun to coordinate with the relevant agency reviewers with a goal to facilitate the construction of dignified ag housing that is up to modern health and safety standards. In addition to further streamlining the full application review process, the department is exploring options with other agencies to provide rural property owners and applicants with easy-to-understand checklists, points of contact, support services, and other resources. Helping to coordinate this effort is the recently established agricultural liaison for the county, which is a position created as an implementation measure of the Santa Clara Valley Ag Plan. This position is funded by the county and located within the county's UC Cooperative Extension Office. Where potential streamlining opportunities require additional code amendments, the department would coordinate with the relevant agencies and present such opportunities to the Hewlett Committee. And this concludes our report. We're now available for any further questions. And as mentioned earlier, with us today are also representatives from the Department of Environmental Health, as well as our Agricultural Commissioner.
Thank you. I'm going to first check in to see if there's any community members online or in person.
We have no speakers in chambers. We do have one virtual speaker. Paul Soto, I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. You'll have 2 minutes.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Let me get something straight. Santa Clara County is the birthplace of the farm workers movement, the lowrider movement, and the Chicano movement. I have documents that were minute orders written by Father Antonio Soto himself. They were part of a group called the Chicano Priest Organization that met on the grounds of Sacred Heart Church. I have those minute orders in his writing. And the same issues that we're contending with now and having this discussion about was discussed at length at these meetings over 50 years ago. This right here is the subtle ways in which racism is continually perpetuated through the generations because nobody has the moral courage nor the ability to put their reputations and put their political ambitions on the line and say, no, absolutely not. This is no longer going to be tolerated while this county continues to preach and to mock what has happened as a result of racist policies that we just saw. We just saw square in its face right here at this particular meeting. Supervisor Arenas and both myself trace our legacy and our family's histories to the Bracero programs, to Sal Si Puedes. And the fact that this is still a debate, this is a debatable issue, the very wealth that has been generated and accumulated in this county that has made it one of the wealthiest counties in the world does not have a place over 50 years later, and that legacy within the Chicano community to start centering our humanity that was taken and stripped from us by your policies.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you. And as privilege to the chair, if I may, Vice Chair, begin my comments. And as the speaker just finished saying, and I think it's something that I've shared before, my father was a bracero for about 5 years. So that's a Mexican national that comes to the U.S. and travels up and down California following this, the seasons of the different fruits and vegetables that our region holds. And basically, bracero, brazos means arms. It's an extra set of hands, right? And so he came during a war season where there's not a lot of men in our country, and so the U.S. recognized that they needed an extra set of hands. And so that's a lot of the men who have come to California and continue to come to California and not be recognized as something, as their labor hasn't been valued in a way that I think recognizes how intricate they are to our well-being and our health and just the liveliness of California. So anyways, so this is very near and dear to me. I can remember ever since even high school, Vice Chair, I went to Independence High School, and the theater there was called Luis Valdez, and Luis Valdez is a part of the farm worker movement, but it was specifically, he's a screenwriter and author. And he would take mitos, so he would take small acts on the road to convey some of the messages that was important for organizing and for encouraging folks to speak up and be part of this this labor movement that Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and many others have a large community of Filipinos in our valleys led. And this has been an area of quite interest. I've never been able to really work directly with or support farm workers, as my passion had become early childhood and development. But this is an area that I'm actually willing to really put a lot of elbow grease into. One of the things that I was going to ask was to ask our staff to talk about some of the lessons that we have learned and some of the potential reforms that we need to do. For example, there's the Williamson Act review process by their agricultural department and planning department. That's one of the ways that we can get this through, is if we actually have a potential reform to the fire marshal review process, a potential reform to the roads and airports review process, a potential reform to the environmental health a review process and, of course, a potential intergovernmental and legislative advocacy strategies to secure regulatory relief where the county doesn't have sole authority over all the permit approvals, and to really encourage the agricultural worker housing. I don't know if this is something that you're interested in, Vice Chair, in learning about, and if this is something that you've already heard. I think by the smile on your face, it tells me that you might have already heard about some of these lessons.
Would this be an appropriate time to respond? I don't
Yes,
want to-
please. Thank you.
Please bear with me for just a moment, and I apologize for what will now be an extended personal history on this subject. Apropos of your comments, Madam Chair, and apropos of the comments that were made by the one speaker we had on the item, I think what is so maddening about this, and other issues, but this one certainly, since it's on our agenda today, is that this is not a new problem. This is not a recently emerging problem. And I say that, and I reference personal history, because in the 1980s, so I want everybody to think about that. 4 decades ago, I got a phone call from San Mateo County Supervisor Anna Eshu, who said, the folks in our farm worker community are living in appalling conditions on the coast side in San Mateo County. You, Joe, work in the housing industry. Is there anything you might be able to do to help with those conditions? And I immediately said, well, I have absolutely no background or experience or expertise in the field of farm labor housing, but let me take a look. So I spent quite a bit of time on the coast side in Half Moon Bay and the surrounding area, and ultimately identified several parcels that might one day serve as affordable housing for the farm working community. At the time, apropos of the comments that staff has made, there wasn't adequate infrastructure for a significant development, and the parcels had yet to be assembled, let alone brought under control by a potential development entity. So my best judgment at the time was, working with local community leaders and with then County Supervisor Eshu, was that the best thing we could do was to acquire options on the property, assemble the parcels, and create a developable site which the county of San Mateo could then land bank. They did that, to their credit. That created 160 units of affordable housing, primarily but not exclusively, as I understand it today, serving the farm labor community. That project is known as Moon Ridge, and those 160 units are operated by the folks at Mid-Peninsula Housing. Now, I'm sharing that long ago history in part because I'm trying to make the point that whether it's the recent tragedy in San Mateo County or the challenges that we face here, this is a problem that has been not only with us, but widely known to exist, not for years, but for decades. And because there are solutions, if there is the political will to move forward on those solutions. And the frustration that you hear in my voice now, and that you heard a few minutes ago, is that I don't sense the sense of urgency around addressing that set of issues that I think the circumstances require. Now, if we can go back to slide 4, Madam Chair. Thank you. The area that we had some discussion that I referenced on, it was more in the rural ag housing area, and that's the area where I think, frankly, our organization has not been as creative as and as purposeful as I might have hoped. And, I'm sorry to have to say it that way, but that's my candid assessment. So I want to be clear. I did not mean to say I've just thrown up my hands and given up. I've just sort of decided that the organization, this county organization, is probably not going to make appreciable progress on that side of the ledger, as much as I might wish it were so, as much as I might exhort the organization. Difference of opinion about what can and should happen, fair enough. So I have pushed a bit more on the urban ag housing side and did a referral with Supervisor Wasserman, and Ms. Hernandez is looking in my direction because she knows I'm coming in her direction now. And on the in response to that specific referral, Ms. Hernandez, if I can, through the chair, ask, I believe we ended up with, was it 23 units that you were able to designate in a project that was in the pipeline that were for farm labor housing, if I may, through the chair?
Thank you, Supervisor Simitian, Consuelo Hernandez. We have two developments, one at the Magnolias that has a higher number, and then the Royal Oaks that is under construction, and we're hoping that will open later this year, early next year. We do also have two others that are in the pipeline in the very early stages.
Those first two projects that you referenced, if I may, through the chair, how many units again?
If you give me a moment to look at I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
So, Madam Chair, what in response to your entreaty to hang in with you, I'm there. I will stay there. If you've got a motion you want to offer, I would look forward to supporting it. If we can go to item slide 5, if I may, through the chair. I think there needs to be a fifth bullet, and I would ask the chair if you'd like to make the motion on this item to add a fifth bullet, which is to essentially ask staff to resolve the on-site wastewater treatment system challenges that are preventing the development of rural ag farm labor housing. I think there are solutions, and we're missing an opportunity. We get the inquiries in our planning department from folks who'd like to make the system work, and then they quickly disappear because of the, as it indicated on 4, the costly on-site requirements. And I think there's got to be a way to deal with that. And I'm looking back at Ms. Hernandez because she's looking at me like she has her numbers now to share with us, if I may, through the chair.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Simitian. The Royal Oak Village in Morgan Hill has 30 units that are set aside for ag worker housing. We last reported that the project is anticipated to be completed October 2023. We have been seeing some delays, so I'd caution us. I think Natalie, we might have a new date on that. And then the Magnolias contains 28 units for agricultural workers.
That's the one I was thinking of, and I misremembered the 23 and the 28. Thank you for the clarification and correction, Ms. Hernandez. So that's, thank you for your patience on that, Madam Chair, and yeah, absolutely, I'll hang in. I just, as I said, and forgive me if I was inarticulate about distinguishing between the rural ag and the urban ag housing. I think my experience in our own organization here is that the hope for any impact is probably going to be on the urban ag side rather than continuing to exhort on the rural ag side. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I actually very much appreciate your sentiment, even though it is a disappointment. I appreciate that you're expressing that this is not good enough to solve the problems that we know are impacting and preventing people from having a level of housing that honors their work and their lives. And you know, I was just thinking about some of the stories that my dad used to share with me about the substandard housing that he had to go through. I think I've shared with all of you. My dad has been gone for almost 20 years now. And I do believe that his life was shortened with exposure of pesticides and a lot of other things that laborers have to do in order to get by, to live in this valley and to live in California. And so the least I think that we could do as county public servants, whether you're elected or you're an employee, is to make sure that we are absolutely thorough and explore and have a level of commitment to making sure that we've looked under every option available. And so let me read this motion that I have, and I'd love to see if there's anything you would like to add, Vice Chair, but I think it'll answer some of the questions that you have, and it'll come to the actual board for action. Okay, so it is to receive a report from the Department of Planning and Development relating to zoning ordinance amendments, streamlining agricultural employee housing, which is from that referral that you talked about, then you submitted in October of 2020. To forward to the report to the Board of Supervisors to be heard as a separate item on the regular agenda with additional information regarding lessons learned from applications for agricultural employee housing that have been submitted to the county since November 2020. And this information should be provided by administration relating to the permitting challenges that any county department or agency has identified, and should include recommendations for addressing those challenges to develop agricultural and employee housing so that the board is able to provide administration additional direction, which is what I think you meant with by adding that last fifth bullet, and I hope that could cover it, but if it doesn't, I can make it even more explicit. It's also to direct the administration to return to Hewlett with a report on the development potential of county-owned sites in proximity to agricultural land for agricultural worker affordable housing. I know you specifically asked about the wastewater treatment challenges that prevent the rural agricultural housing, and I'm happy to add that specifically, but I in my motion, I've included for staff to address those challenges that prevent agricultural employee housing. But I'm happy to make that very specific to rural agricultural housing, and that's for staff to address any of those challenges that prevent rural agricultural housing, specific to the wastewater treatment.
I'm happy to second the motion. I'm glad you made it. Whatever language you want to use, Madam Chair, for your motion, whether it's the sort of more generic, all-encompassing language or the specific language about wastewater treatment, I leave that to your judgment. I think there was a reference to county-owned sites in your motion. Yes.
Yes.
Does that? This is one place where it might help staff if we said, does that include St. Louis, at least for consideration at this point?
It does, and I understand there is interest in reviewing the Highland campus area in San Martin.
I just wanted to make sure that people didn't think that your reference to county-owned did not include those sites. So now that we've got it specifically highlighted that it does, I think that's a helpful clarification. Thank you. Happy to second the motion, and again, thank you for making it.
Great, thank you so much. I think we can call roll on this one.
Vice Chairperson Simitian.
Aye.
Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are going to move on to item 7, and this is the annual Housing and Community Development Report. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson Arenas. Consuelo Hernandez. I will do a brief introduction, and then I'll hand it over to Natalie Monk, our Housing and Community Development Manager. 3 years ago in our community, we were asked to shelter in place, and our office kept working because we operate out of urgency to build more housing in our community. We were tasked with helping and supporting the vulnerable populations, and you hear a lot about that. You also hear a lot about Measure A and the work that our team is doing. And we thought it would be a beneficial opportunity for this committee to get a broader understanding of what our housing team does. You do receive a monthly report on our outcomes based on the community plan to end homelessness. But once upon a time, the board asked for more details on what the Housing and Community Development Division out of the Office of Supportive Housing actually do. So there's a lot of work that this team does, and we've tried very hard to simplify it, but this shows you our progress over the last year. And with that, I will hand it over to Natalie.
Thank you, Consuelo. The Housing and Community Development Division within the Office of Supportive Housing administers the county's housing and community development programs. We're organized around 4 categories of work: asset management and county-led development, community development, developer-led housing development, and policy and regional efforts. This is the 3rd annual report, which covers the period of March 2022 through February 2023. This chart shows the 4 categories of our work and highlights some of the major functions that are included in each category. We're extremely proud of the collective body of work that our team has completed during this period, and we'd like to highlight a few accomplishments for each category. I'll start with the asset management and county-led development team. This team is responsible for managing the county's loan portfolio, including both multifamily rental housing developments and loans issued to single-family homeowners. The county's portfolio consists of approximately 191 multifamily development loans and 157 single-family loans with a combined value of approximately $614 million. The team also ensures that developments stay affordable over the long term and that borrowers comply with their loan documents. It supports the acquisition of new properties which can be developed as affordable and supportive housing, and it leads community engagement on these properties. We'd like to highlight a few key achievements. This year, the team analyzed and approved 6 loan modifications to preserve and support existing developments, made significant progress on county-led housing developments. We acquired 330 Distal Circle in Los Altos, and the project was entitled for 90 units. The Hub was entitled along with 80 new affordable and supportive housing units for transition-aged youth, or TAY, at Parkmore in San Jose. We were awarded over $16 million in home key funds for the Crestview and Mountain View, which allowed us to acquire the site, and we've selected the developer. We've continued to partner with the developers of 231 Grant Avenue in Palo Alto on the county's first educator housing project. We were also awarded $5 million in local housing trust fund funding from the state for the county's East Santa Clara Street site in San Jose. We also completed the rehab of 64 interim housing units at Bella Vista Inn in Santa Clara. We've continued to partner with the VTA on 4 properties. 3 of these have developers selected, and we've held 2 community meetings and are working on conceptual design. We entered into a memorandum of understanding with the City of Gilroy to develop the county's 8th and Alexander Street site. and we entered into an MOU with the Housing Authority to support the development of at least 3 sites. We'd like to show you some images of these developments. This is the Bella Vista Inn. It's 64 units of interim housing in Santa Clara. The project opened last month, and a grand opening was held last week. This is the Crest View and Mountain View. It's 49 units for households experiencing or at risk of homelessness. 13 units are set aside for TAY households. This is 231 Grant Avenue in Palo Alto. It's 110 units with 77 units set aside as educator housing and 32 units set aside as workforce housing. This is 330 Distal Circle in Los Altos, 90 units with 20 units set aside as permanent supportive housing. This is Mitchell
Well,
Park.
one moment, if we could
Yes.
take this update and not restart it now, would be great.
Uh-oh. Oh, dear. One moment. Let me... Uh-oh. Apologies, one moment.
No problem. I keep trying to touch the screen.
See that.
For those of you at home, we're having a bit of a technical issue, but we are going to pick right back up as soon as we figure out how to not restart our devices in the middle of a presentation. I'm sure that we can get there. In the meantime, this gives us a really great opportunity to update our settings offline whenever you can.
The odd thing is that it's not showing up on anybody's screen in order to activate, but she just found it.
All right, it looks like we fixed it. We didn't have to restart, which is great.
Thank you. Can you go to slide 12, please? Thank you. This is Mitchell Park Place. It's 50 units with 25 units set aside for individuals with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities and their families. Next. This will be the county's new forever home for The Hub, which is a youth-led and organized community center for current and former foster youth. The project is entitled for 81 units of affordable and supportive housing with 40 units set aside for TAY. Next. Next. HCD also includes the community development team, whose primary function is to partner with our local cities and CBOs to meet a variety of housing and community development needs. This team operates 3 main funding programs: CDBG in the urban county, Home through the Home Consortium, and PLHA through our new PLHA Consortium. The team also manages funding for capital improvement projects, homeownership programs, and our CDC grant program, which provides funds to CBOs to build capacity. Next. I'll highlight a few accomplishments from this past year. We were awarded $6.9 million in PLHA funding to our PLHA Consortium. We were also awarded $5 million in CalHome funds last year, and last month we submitted an application to the state for an additional $5 million. 9 loans were issued to first-time homebuyers through the Empower Homebuyers program. We awarded $8 million in challenge grants to 2 service-enriched interim housing developments and $750,000 to 3 CBOs through our CDC grant program. We also used CDBG and Home to fund various capital improvement projects, home repair projects, and community services. Next. Next. The housing development team is responsible for affordable and supportive housing production throughout the county in partnership with our local developers. The team coordinates quarterly reporting to the Oversight Committee for the 2016 Measure A Affordable Housing Bond. We manage the Supportive Housing Development Fund, NOFA. and underwrite and originate acquisition and pre-development, construction, and permanent loans. In addition, we manage all of the county's housing production funding sources. Next. Over the past year, the team was awarded $31.7 million in additional No Place Like Home funds from the state. We approved funding for 5 new multifamily rental projects in the cities of Milpitas, Morgan Hill, San Jose, and Sunnyvale, and the county's first homeownership production project. These will result in 574 new apartments and 14 new for-sale homes. We started construction on 6 affordable and supportive housing projects totaling 574 new units, including 198 supportive housing units, 16 units set aside for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, and 16 units set aside for agricultural workers. The team also completed 5 projects totaling 324 units, including 120 supportive housing units, 21 units set aside for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, and 23 units for TAY. We'd like to show you some images of these completed projects. Next. This is Markham Plaza 2 in San Jose. It had 153 existing units and 50 studios, which have been newly restricted as permanent supportive housing. The project completed in June. Next. This is Vela Apartments. It's 87 units with half of the units set aside as permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing. It was completed in September. Next. This is Wilton Court, 59 units with 21 set aside for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. Completed in October. Next. Page Street Studios in San Jose, 82 units with 27 units set aside as permanent supportive housing. It completed in December. Next. This is Mesa Terrace in San Jose, 46 units with 23 set aside as permanent supportive housing for TAY. It was completed last month. Next. Next. The HCD division is also involved in affordable housing policy and new funding opportunities. This past year, we assisted Enterprise and BAFA in quantifying the regional affordable housing pipeline. We hosted and led monthly meetings for CBOs and local governments for eviction prevention and hosted meetings with local stakeholders. We supported the preparation of the draft 2023-2031 housing element and supported countywide efforts to leverage home key funds for eligible projects. As noted in the report, the work of the HCD division has grown significantly over the past several years, and we expect continued growth over the next few years. And that concludes our report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. First, we're going to go to the public, if there's any online or in-person comments.
We have no speakers in chambers, and we do have one virtual speaker. Paul Soto, I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. First, I want to see if I have my logic clear here, because this item was taken just after the last item. You want to prioritize groups. Housing for teachers weighs more heavily on the community as a priority than housing for the people that put the vegetables on your table, that feed your children, that clean and the motel rooms, that do the gardening and the landscaping, that cook the food and sustain this city throughout COVID. Construction, warehousing, trucking, stocking, shipping, receiving, loading, feeding, traveling, all at risk while they took, because they were exposed to the community where COVID was existing, and the construction hammers kept on hammering, and that was not affected at all. Why? Because of the bodies of the Mexicans and the Latinos are the ones, the lifeblood and the engine that keeps this thing going. And then you were going to like mock in such an insensitive way that, you know what, no, these people do not have priority for us, yet we are the progenitors of the 3 most powerful civil rights movements of the 20th century. I mean, you don't have the capacity. I'm seeing that the county, the premise of my position yesterday in that email that I sent out is valid and is correct. It is a logical, reasonable, systematic, coherent way of systematizing and contextualizing the racist policies that have affected my community for over 170 years, starting with the planting of that flag.
And that concludes speakers.
Great, thank you. I see my vice chair's light.
Thank you, Madam Chair, if I may. One very minor correction, but it's a clarification that I think would be helpful in a moment, but I will first move the recommended action, which is to receive the report.
Second.
And then if I could just ask staff to take a look, maybe if you'd pop up page number 10 again, the Grant Avenue project. Thanks so much. Just a correction, if I may. All of these units in that last bullet, 100% of the units are educator units. The reference to Meta workforce housing makes it sound as if this is for the workforce of Meta/Facebook, and of course that's not the case. It is funded by Meta for educators, and I just want to make sure that folks who are not as familiar, I know you all know this, but I just want to make sure that the slide is more precisely labeled so that folks don't get the wrong impression about what we're doing with this project. It's 100% educator units and partially funded by a grant from Meta. And the reason I can say I know you all know this is because I can also say, should also say, thank you very much for the work that your office has done throughout the county, but certainly in District 5 and in communities that have candidly struggled in the past to develop affordable housing. Madam Chair, I think the team will correct me if I'm wrong, but the Distill Circle site in Los Altos is the first all-affordable housing project in the city's history. So, you know, we talk about groundbreaking ceremonies. You are literally breaking new ground when it comes to, you know, the development of the affordable housing that the region so desperately needs. And I know nobody needs to hear me make remarks on the need more broadly, so I'll let it go, move to approve the recommended action. And thank you again.
Thank you. This is absolutely fabulous. And to apologize to the folks at home for listening to some additional static within our system. These things happen. I'm not sure exactly why. But continuing with my comments, this is ending on a high note for me. This is wonderful information to share with our community and also for our folks to take advantage of and to understand what the county actually does to support permanent housing for our folks who are out there struggling. So congratulations to all of you who've worked indirectly and directly to make some of these things happen. And of course, Vice Chair, for your support and your votes in the past to lead us all here today. I'm interested in talking about 8th and Alexander, which is the Gilroy Affordable Project. And I wanted to know, how is the target population going to be selected?
I'll defer to Consuelo.
Thanks, Natalie, and thank you, Chair Arenas. We are still working on the target population, both with the community and with the city of Gilroy. We have an upcoming meeting in late April, and part of the question and discussion with the community is around that. During our first community meeting, the members that spoke asked us to look at ag worker housing, housing for individuals with an intellectual and developmental disability, and those that are previously unhoused. But what we like to do is look at what the vision for the site is, because we're very mindful when we start, having too many different population types, it loses the vision and it complicates the potential for how you develop the site. So one of the things that we look at, Supervisor Arenas, is the interior design of the project. For instance, if it is for previously unhoused individuals, there's a set of design criteria that we look at. If it's for individuals with an intellectual and development disability, there's another set of criteria that we look at. So we try to be very mindful of that, but a decision has not been made.
I understand. And of course, on the heels of this last conversation that we just finished up, I'm hoping that we can consider agricultural workers. And do you have a timeline for the selection or the termination of the population?
Not at this time. We want to finish our community engagement and bring a developer on board first before making that decision.
I see. And so you haven't brought in a developer for that just yet?
No, the way that, one of the things that we've been working really hard on is building relationships with communities. Oftentimes, we don't know the particular neighborhoods, and part of developing and making sure that by the time it gets to the city council for approval, we want to make sure that we've engaged with all of the stakeholders. So we like to do that before a developer is selected, so that we understand what the challenges are for the community, and we get to direct our selected developer. This is different when a developer comes to us with their project. Here, we get to control every aspect of it. And so that's why we want to hear what the community has to think before we select it.
Oh, well, I really love that approach, and wouldn't that be wonderful for all of our developments to actually go through, right? I'd love for my office to stay involved and to be as helpful as we can be in bringing along the community and helping with that. So I'd love to talk with you offline about that. And then also, if you can keep me apprised of how you'll be making that population selection and the timeline that goes along with that. The other thing that I wanted to ask about is ADUs. When we kind of open the gates for ADU possibilities to actually really facilitate the building out of ADUs over in the city of San Jose, we got quite a bit of applications. And it was one of the ways that we could grow our affordable housing as we waived some of the fees if people committed to making the rent affordable for a certain amount of time. And then there were some issues about just going through the process because development is always difficult, right? And it's so technical. And so then we offered some of these days where there was kind of a clinic, if you will, an ADU clinic on Tuesdays, or I forget whatever day it was, but folks can come in and get some really personalized support with an in-person at City Hall. And so I'm wondering what kind of, this is one of the ways that we actually build affordable housing for the folks who actually have the ability to do this and to have it on site at their properties. And so have we done any sort of kind of checklist for residents to facilitate this? I'm not saying let's do a whole clinic, but I think if we wanted to encourage ADUs, which I think is one of the ways, like I said, that we can increase affordable housing without having to do, this whole process. What is one of the things that we have done so far, and can we offer some support?
Good morning again, Sylvia Gallegos.
Good morning.
Ms. Hernandez builds at scale. Your comments are with respect to private development. And in fact, recently, we brought forward guidance with respect to SB 9 and the development of not only, I believe we call them junior urban units, but also ADUs and junior ADUs. But I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mikhail, who's better prepared to speak to the specifics of our efforts to promote and also communicate to neighborhoods about potential development, because as you can imagine, as you densify it, it presents impacts, including parking.
Sure, thank you. Lisa Mikhail, Deputy Director, Planning and Development. The county recently, and I believe in 2020, we aligned our zoning ordinance to be consistent and compliant with state law. And through that process, we streamlined the approvals for accessory dwelling units, which we refer to as ADUs. Those projects do not require discretionary applications through planning. So that streamlining effort allows an applicant to submit directly into our building division and go through the plan check process. We're also looking at additional streamlined efforts through the building division for programmed accessory dwelling units. And as Ms. Gallegos noted, recently our efforts for SB 9, Senate Bill 9, allows urban primary units as well. And what the county did through that effort, through an urban primary unit, we limited the square footage to be about 1,600 square feet. And through that effort, we are ensuring that there aren't, the McMansions that are constructed and inherently would be likely lower costs. We don't require that there's affordability applied to accessory dwelling units or SB 9 units, and there are potentially legal restrictions around that as well. But that's our efforts for streamlining accessory dwelling units here at the county.
Thank you. That's interesting. I was actually thinking about that $5 million in the Calhoun funding that was awarded to the county to see if there was any technical assistance that we could provide. It sounds like we are not connecting any affordability requirements to our ADUs, and is that something that the board has taken a look at and considered in the past?
Elizabeth Pianka, Acting Assistant County Counsel. The board adopted the ADU ordinance in 2020, as Lisa McHale mentioned. I do not recall that the specific issue associated with either requiring ADUs to be affordable or to provide incentives to applicants to ensure that they're affordable in exchange for reductions in permitting fees or other fees was looked at that point in time when we were amending the ADU ordinance.
And I mention this because the city of San Jose did this, and actually in my district, in District 8, we have a lot of those McMansions, and a lot of those nice big homes are the homes that actually had a lot of applications for ADUs. One, because they could afford it, right? They had probably the equity or the income to build something out. And second, they had this space on site at their home to actually do this in a thoughtful way. And so it's one of the ways that I think parents have allowed for their children to continue to live in this city and in this county. I just don't know how we are going to help facilitate that for our unincorporated areas. And my office has been dealing with a constituent who's been dealing with building out an ADU actually in Morgan Hill for years, and it's become so difficult, and there's not a very clear path. And so, whether this is something that we can talk offline about, but I think that there's a bigger opportunity here to promote ADUs, especially for those homes that are in unincorporated areas or just that can afford to actually build an ADU and create for us some naturally occurring affordable housing without us having to really fund it, but help facilitate it to happen. Anyways, we can talk offline. It sounds like this is not within the policy, but there's always an opportunity on any given Tuesday to relook at policy.
And if I may, to clarify, particularly, Chair Arenas, because you brought up the CAL Home funding. The CAL Home funding is eligible, and the borrower has to be 80%, has to earn no more than 80% of the area median income. And our guidelines do allow for ADUs and JADUs as a qualified housing type. And I think, Natalie, we're still working on those guidelines and bringing it back to the board for approval. So to answer your specific question around CAL Home, yes.
Great, thank you. This is great. I think this just gives another opportunity for property owners, for homeowners who are not equipped to move out of the city, who are not going to move into something smaller because it's just not affordable to move into anything smaller. But what they want is proximity to their children and their grandchildren or friends and family. And it provides an opportunity for us to have a little more density in some areas where we know that there's single-family homes that have flourished out in our certain parts of our county. So anyways, I'll go ahead and ask for a roll because we do have a motion on the floor. So I will go ahead and ask Peggy to do a roll call.
Vice Chairperson Simitian.
Aye, but before we proceed, I just wanted to alert the chair that I have a brief comment when we get to 12, the adjournment, believe it or not. Thank you. Aye.
Chairperson Arenas.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we are going to adjourn, and the next regular meeting is set for Thursday, April 27 at 10 a.m. here in our chambers at 70 West Heading. And we have a comment from our vice chair.
Thank you for the courtesy, Madam Chair. I just wanted to indicate when I saw the date, this committee has been a really helpful venue for some time for issues dealing with the Lehigh Cement Plant and quarry. And I am mindful of the fact that, of course, that item is not agendized today for Brown Act purposes, which is why I wanted to indicate that I'm going to ask the chair if we can have brief opportunity at the next 3 meetings and, obviously at the forbearance of the chair, April, May, and June, to get a report back on progress regarding a legally binding agreement for the cement plant closure. And Madam Chair, there's a lot of story behind the story behind the story, but I will, in light of the hour and the fact that it is not a Brown Act agendized item, save that for another time. But I didn't want people to be surprised, and I thought since we had so many of the relevant parties here, I would just provide that information today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.